Hi everyone, it's me, the Broke Stacker. I finally got my parts in to change out the jets and the rods in this thing. It took me a little bit of research. I had to read that carburetor owner's manual from Edlebrock, beginning to end, to fully understand the operation. And we'll go over that here just a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and attempt to change all that out without even taking the carb off the car. It's going to be relatively easy. It's 8 bolts, a couple little linkages, and the whole top of the air horn comes off. Jets should be right there. Pop the old jets out, pop the new ones in, and yeah, that should be it. So let's go over that right now. I'm going to start breaking this thing down. Okay, I wanted to go over a little bit of theory with you guys. This information particularly partakes to the Edlebrock 1406 600 CFM carburetor. So check it out. I took some notes, and we'll go over that here in a second, but I'll show you where I got my findings. So typically, if I can get this pen to work, right here is number 1 on the flow chart. Let me zoom this in just a little bit. So you'll have a chart on which way to go. Right here, it's going to be your power mode. Right or left, this will be lean, this will be rich. So when you go on this XY axis on their chart, it'll be lean, rich on the power mode. And here, up, down, will be the cruise mode. And also this will be rich up, lean down, right? So, and what they want you to do is kind of stay in this window of going up. So the richer you go, it'll be kind of on a slope. This isn't to scale by any means, but number 1 is what it comes with from the factory, the stock calibration. This would be in the case of a Edlebrock 1406. The primary jet is going to be a .098 or a 98 jet, and the metering rod, I believe, is a 7547. So let's go over that, what that means here in a second, and we'll come back to this here in just a sec. So metering rod jet setup, and get that back on the table so I don't flop it around on you. Here's your metering rod. It's attached to this piston. The piston goes up and down depending on engine vacuum, right? And I'll explain that right now. And the jet right here is kind of where it sets in the bottom. This is just a side view of the jet, open hole. Anyways, so down is at idle. Maximum vacuum is sucking this jet down, and the throat of the metering rod is the top throat. So the top throat, which is your first number, is going to be more at idle. The second number down here towards the bottom of the jet is going to be when this thing gets pulled up and there's no engine idle and it's under power mode. So the engine vacuum is sucking it down at idle. When you go more like wide open throttle or partial throttle, it sucks it up. And it depends on where that kicks in is your spring. The heavier the spring, the faster it's going to assist that out of the idle mode. I thought it was the opposite, but it goes that way. So yes, the first number, 75, this is the stock rod here, by the way, 7547. That's what's in there right now, is what we've been running with a 98 jet. So this jet is 98 thousandths wide. When you're at idle, it sucks down that 75 down in there. It gives you an opening of .023. This is the step up metering valve, if you will, or metering rod. They call it like a step up. So the lean part of it is when it's sucked down at idle. That's the first number, the big number. That's more restriction. That'll give you a .023 opening. So, and you go under load, that'll be high load, low vacuum. Now it comes up to this 47 spot. It steps up to that, and that'll give you a .051 gap for the fuel to flow through. So that's where we're at right now. We're running a little bit of rich, and it's really comical. This engine, it has a sticker. It had a sticker. It got blown off. It said, so For perfect clean air, you want to have the engine air-fuel ratio at idle between 14.0 to 14.4 to 1 air-fuel ratio. I thought that was very comical. Now, as we all know, it's a little bit higher than that for stoichiometric efficiency. Anyways, my goal here, that was 1, right? There's the 1, there's a 7. This down here, this section is 8. And where do I get these numbers from? Let's go back to our chart. They'll give you all these numbers all over the place to show you where you need to go, but 7 is right here, and on the power mode, 8 right here. So to make this as simple as possible, I'm going to go down here to 7 at first, and then if that doesn't work, I'll go over here a little bit more power on the power mode to an 8, and I have the number differences here. 7 is at the 73/47 rod and a 95 jet. That gives us from a 23 thousandths down to a 22 thousandths, so a little bit leaner. And same thing on the power mode. It's gonna that second number is gonna go from a 51 thousandths gap to a 48 thousandths gap, and again a little bit leaner. But if that's too lean on the power mode, I have Plan B for the power mode for pictogram 8 on the chart. 8 would be a 73/42 rod, also with the 95 jet. So we won't have to change the jets at this point. We might have to change the rod, which is, it takes 2 seconds. It's again at idle. That should give us at the 22 thousandths gap, but that'll bring us up to a 53 thousandths gap. So a little bit higher, a little bit leaner. I'm sorry, richer than what we had from the this factory rod here. It might lose power, it might gain power. If it loses power, we'll go back to this, and that probably will be the sweet spot. So I hope this explains the operation of your metering valves and jets. Again, the biggest thing to remember on your metering valves, when this piston is down, that's at idle. When it's up, that is your power mode. And the spring, the lighter the spring you have, it will not assist this going into power mode as fast. So you want to go faster in your power mode, you need to put a heavier spring. That's all I got on the tuning. I'm going to get back to tearing this thing apart now. Take your air cleaner off. I find it easier on mine just to pull this guy off instead of thumbling with this part underneath for the air oil breather. So this linkage, the choke linkage, and the power valve linkage. I just got to take those 3 items off, and then there's 8 individual screws to take those off. But before you pull the air horn, make sure you pull the metering valves and pistons out. Lay them off to the side. Only tools you should really need for this is a flathead screwdriver, a little pair of needle nose pliers, maybe a magnetic tray to make sure you don't lose any of those tiny little springs. I got a damn fly, a T25 Torx bit driver. That's for the air horn screws, and you could use a different T25 to remove the metering rods, but I just use this 1/4 inch driver. It's also as effective for adjusting your idle speed. That should be all you really need to do these adjustments. Okay, you guys know I was waiting this whole time for some parts. Here they are. I got some new gaskets for the air horn. It's a 5-pack. I got them at Summit. It's like 20 bucks. I got my extra set of jets. Let me back this out just a little bit. I got my set of jets. These are, I don't even know what size they are. They give you different part numbers, but really the number that matters is the gap that's on the jet there. So let's just say that one's the 92. These are the 95s. There's one or the other. I got those. So the 92s, when I play with the power circuit, might go a little bit leaner to see if I pick up some power. It might be too rich. It might not be rich enough. I'm not sure. And I also got these metering valves. I have everything else I needed to tune this thing, but these 3 items are extraordinarily overpriced on Summit, in my opinion. This little guy right here, these 2 little pieces of brass, they wanted 20 bucks. It's fine. I know I could be frugal, but it is what it is. That's the only place I could find them, and I know that they're going to be right. And I don't know how old this carburetor is. The air horn's been off of at least twice. So I went ahead and I got some new gaskets just in case if it starts leaking. I'm ready to go. Okay, now we're gonna remove the air horn. I went ahead and removed the fuel line. It would just be in my way, so it's one hose clamp, pull it off. It's easy. So here we go. I'm also leaving this in as a guide to help it ease off and ease on so I don't damage anything. If I'm not mistaken, shouldn't be too bad. I think the floats are attached to this air horn too, so be very, very careful as not to bend them. And there it is. Let's set this air horn to the side for now. And let's take you guys over here and just take a look down inside. The floats are still full of gasoline. And just to give you an example of how much gunk can get in there, hang on, I'll turn the light on. How much gunk can get down in your fuel system. While you're in there, if you see any crap like that, it'd be a good idea to suck that out and get it out of your face. But our jets, where are our jets? They should be, where the heck are they? Jets should be down in here, but there's so much gunk. Oh, there's one jet there. One jet there. I believe that's for the primaries, if I'm not mistaken. And the secondary jets, if I'm not mistaken, are back here in the back. So we're not going to play with those yet. I want to see what it does first before changing those. So we're going to be in here a couple times. But look at all that gunk in there. We're going to go ahead and get the get some of that gunk out with the vacuum real quick, make it safe. And clean those real quick. While we're in here, you might as well, right? And then we'll swap these two jets out really quick. All right, that just took 2 seconds. It took me longer because, well, I'm getting old and my eyes just cannot read that 2 font that they magically stamp into those brass jets. So I had to bust out my jeweler's loop. So there's a trick trade for you guys. If you can't see them, get your jeweler's loop out and you should be able to see the numbers pretty easily. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and install this air horn. Okay, I just got my carburetor all back together, got the appropriate metering rods and jets in there. This should be appropriate for this elevation. We're about 3,300 feet above sea level here. I went up into the mountains over the weekend with this. At about 5,000 feet, it was really struggling to breathe. So this should put us a lot leaner. So this engine shouldn't be struggling to breathe so much. Don't mind the chickens in the background. There's a thunderstorm coming in and they're freaking out. Here we go. Forgot there's no gas in the float bowl. This might take a second. Also, don't mind my exhaust leak. I got the new gasket. We got an exhaust leak over here. I got to go through it and see what's going on there. But I'm leaving all this off to look for leaks. And I'm also going to be tuning the idle air mixture screws. Definitely got to play with those. That doesn't sound too bad for not playing with the screws. I'm going to give this a few minutes, let it warm up. It sounds pretty good. It's breathing a little bit better than before, but we'll see after it warms up. Be right back. Weirdo and sniff the tailpipe and see if that's gonna free if we're pretty close on the stoke right now. Just took a sniff on the tailpipe. That is so much better already. Alright, so what we're gonna do now, we're going to adjust our idle air mixture screws, and the way you do that, you turn in until it starts to die, then you come out and you keep going until you hit maximum RPM, whatever it's gonna do. And then you come back in a little bit on your screws and do the same on the other side. I should mention, in is lean, out is rich on your idle air mixture screws. My return spring slipped off right there, so I just hooked it back on. See how much of a difference that makes? Always make sure you got plenty of return spring. It wasn't strong enough, so it kept opening up the throttle. A good time if you don't have a tack. I do everything by ear. You go sniff the tailpipe, obviously not too long, and before you really commit yourself to the idle speed, throw the thing in drive and just let it hold there. If it's starting to feel like it's bogging down, stumbling, you're not getting enough RPM, then crank it up a little bit, and vice versa. If it's too high, bump it down. I'm going to go ahead and pop it in drive real quick and make sure this isn't too low of an RPM. a little bit lower than before. This probably explains a lot. My throttle return spring wasn't hooked on right. I'm pretty happy with that. I just tested it out. I even turned the wheel a couple times. The power steering pump was going and engaging. It was still turning just fine. Wasn't going to stumble and die. Another note, if you have like an older oil pump and you had the RPM too low, you might not have enough oil pressure. So keep that in mind too, guys. These are all little contributing factors I've figured out over the years. So sometimes too low of an RPM can be bad too. You don't be getting enough lubrication on the top end. All right, so I'm to the point here. I'm pretty happy with this. We're gonna go ahead and go for a test drive, see how it's doing.